June 2016 marked the 10th anniversary of the Building Bridges Coalition, hosted by the Brookings Institution. The agenda was international volunteer service and the 2030 Development Agenda Opportunities for Volunteers. General Stanley McChrystal, chairman of the Service Year Alliance, was the keynote speaker.
I think one of the things we haven't done, really around the world, but particularly in the United States, is support giving opportunities for young people to develop the habit of service. Giving young people the experience to do something over time that then becomes ingrained in them.
Volunteering is not a new thing or old thing. It's been always a thing that is there. And different cultures relate in so many different ways. And the only one for us to unleash and unlock the power of 1.8 billion young person is to offer them opportunities. And at the end of the day, whether we are successful in offering them opportunities and bringing them on board or not will define not only the course of achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, but also the question of peace and security on this planet.
If we are going to be the generation that basically ends poverty, if we're going to be the generation that leaves no one behind, if we are going to unleash the transformative capacity of people to save the planet, we need volunteers, because you can't do it without volunteers.
What better signal about what kind of country we are than to send people all over the globe to serve in communities that both want our help and want to sort of get together with us to solve problems. So that's practical reason number one. Practical reason number two, and I think this is being covered in the course of this discussion today, precisely at a time of economic trouble when people need opportunities. I think service, particularly for young people who are having trouble gaining a foothold on the first couple of steps of the ladder of mobility, there's a lot of evidence that service is connected with opportunities for mobility later in life. Third, the very fact that we are so divided as a nation, we know, if only in the case of some of us from all those World War II movies, how much the notion of shared service brought us together and made us look differently at the differences between us. In all those foxhole moments in those movies, it was all of us together serving the country.
Multi-stakeholders presented innovative alliances between NGOs, faith-based groups, universities, and the private sector.
Volunteerism is a way in which you can put new and additional accountability mechanisms in place, whereby people get to speak their mind, participate in decision-making, and participate in implementation. And that's where UNV comes in, that's where the Peace Corps comes in. That is where we, with volunteers from all over the world, can become the catalysts. Volunteers, think of them as the amino acids of Sustainable Development Goals.
The old model used to be us going in and volunteering for a period of time and providing those skills and the training and the technical assistance in areas that were critical for other countries. But the difference that we have seen lately is really what Carrie touched on, and this is building the local capacity, local volunteerism, because that's how you get to scale.
We talk about service as an opportunity, and we're trying to get everybody in service, but I grew up in a house where service is a way of life, and it was really ingrained in me from a young age, and it was both my parents, and we were always involved in that. It was because of the experiences I had through my family that very much, I think, set me personally on the path to start SEED and what I do. But, you know, it's funny, we talk about what is the opportunity for the new administration, and we always get excited when there's a change of administration or a change of government. Let's create opportunity. But frankly, the opportunities are existing all the time at every moment. I'm an optimist about government, I could say, despite being the daughter of a public servant, but it is because of being a daughter of a public servant that I'm an optimist about government.
Millennium Development Goals were very human. They were very simple, and everybody could understand them very well. And they created two miracles. One, if before the Millennium Development Goals you walked into a USAID office or a World Bank office or a UN office or a European Union office in any country, you would get a complete different analysis of the development context that you were working in. Currently, if you walk in, everybody is talking poverty, everybody is talking gender, everybody is talking about environment, and everybody is talking about children. So the Millennium Development Goals pointed all noses in the same direction. And the second part, what was really amazing, is what measures gets done. And because we started establishing measurements, we all of a sudden started measuring ourselves in what was going on, and we achieved a number of the indicators.
Volunteerism overseas is ultimately how we're going to achieve, I believe, the Sustainable Development Goals because of the principles that we talked about earlier. It's about inclusivity, everybody feeling like they own this, everybody feeling like they're driving towards that goal. It's about integration, the comprehensiveness of the Sustainable Development Goals.
Engaging youth into a cultural service parallels the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals for 2030, commonly referred to as SDGs.
Well, almost 90% of young people today, they live in the global south, in countries who are struggling to develop their economies and to offer jobs for young people. That's why I believe when it comes to leaving no one behind, which we have been repeating for 15 years almost, I think leaving no one behind in the Sustainable Development Goals is not going to be about reaching out to everyone and delivering services to everyone. Reaching and leaving no one behind is going to mean only one thing. If we to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, we have to make sure that everybody be part of the solution and that young people and this massive generation of youth will be part of achieving these goals, not only being at the beneficiary end of these goals.
Right now, because volunteerism has moved from just a discussion of us going into countries as volunteers and to really creating that true value of civic participation and that belief that all of us can change our societies. And that's the essence of the SDGs.
If we can't take on ideas as fundamental, as valuable, as important as making citizenship and service to others a core part of our culture, then what can we do?